If you haven't watched my video on Entropy 0, 1 and 2, be sure to do so now. Also, I was sick this week, so I'm powering through the script as best as I can. Perhaps I sound a little more tired or raspy than usual though. Entropy 0 Uprising is the first big mod release that uses Entropy 0 as a base, and it's actually really good. In this video I will be summarizing, analyzing and reviewing it. I highly recommend you to play this mod for yourself. You can come back afterwards and still watch this video for my thoughts. Let's get into the mod though. Entropy 0 Uprising has you slip into the role of Victor 60. Victor 60 will become a very well developed character throughout the game, but he himself doesn't really say a lot, which is actually one of the points of criticism people often have for Entropy 0 1 and especially 2. Many are not fans of the sarcastic pop culture referencing bad cop dialogue and how much there is of it. This mod features very little dialogue and with a more serious tone, so perhaps if you didn't enjoy Entropy 0 1 and 2, this mod could be for you. This mod, unsurprisingly, takes place right during the Uprising. The Uprising, according to the wiki, describes the entire war that is happening between the Common and the Resistance. It is generally understood though that the Uprising is the week in which Gordon Freeman and Alex Vance were stuck in a teleport and were presumed dead. After hearing of the presumed death of Freeman, the rebels launched their biggest counterattack against the Combine. We never saw the beginning of this though, which is why this mod has quite a lot to work with here. Especially from the perspective of a Metro cop, this is very interesting. We start off in a small city area. Right now there is nothing to do but be a bully to the citizens, which is frankly what a lot of people probably wanted from a mod where you play the opposing force. After a bit of time passes, a surge gets detected. A passing strider gets destroyed and we black out. We wake up to a very much destroyed city. I like the time passage of the blackout, though I must say that I didn't really like to be fully stuck somewhere with your only option being to wait. It's actually possible to just not move at all and have all the happenings happen without any of your input. So perhaps some kind of trigger that at least checks if you've left the tunnel would have been good. In general though, I think this intro serves the story well. We pick up a stun stick and try to contact units nearby, which actually works. We hear an officer in need of help. We move through a basement and receive the pistol, which is easily missable though. To which we get into our first combat. We fight off some citizens. The combat in this mod is generally done pretty well. The design of these outside levels in general is awesome. I have rarely seen such detailed beautiful buildings in Half-Life 2. Also this mod is full of world building, and I mean truly full. We see a Metro cop getting lynched, which is pretty dark. We can actually destroy the piece of wood attaching the rope and get some suit battery off of him. Stuff like this is awesome. Small little details like this are seen a lot throughout this mod, which shows how much passion is in the level design. In this mod you also have written what the Overwatch is instructing us on. Right now it's sentencing at will. We then move through this narrow alley which, man, this is so well and creatively designed. Speaking of creative level design, a bit later we get down onto one of these half-tunnel streets and get greeted by a couple more civil protection units. A fire is blocking our way, which is why we go into this small rebel hideout to enable sprinklers. There is a fire alarm here that's actually working, and it's made out of a pot. How creative, man. We see the couple civil protection units we just met get killed by rebels, which we proceed to then do the same to. We get into this underground train tunnel which reminded me a lot of Mirror's Edge. Pretty cool stuff. We then see a group of rebels leaving in a van. There is a supply plant found on the wall. I suggest you to read all the text you find on boards like this throughout the mod. I will definitely be doing so in this video. Shortly afterwards we find a group of civil protection who are planning an attack on a rebel base. After we successfully manage to take down a rebel force field, all troops move in and kill everyone. We then fade to black and get hit by a cutscene. We see someone that is most likely our wife or girlfriend, crying on the couch because we are planning on enlisting in the Combine. She pleads that there has to be another way, to which the cutscene ends. We wake up in the building, which to be honest is the first time I think I've ever seen sleeping in a Half-Life mod outside of a few horror maps. We get offered a drink of Dr. Breen's private reserve, which might just seem like an offhand joke, but this decision is actually incredibly important. We will get into what happens when you never take a sip of these, but for now I will go through the game as how most people probably would, drinking a couple cans. Now I must say that these cutscenes actually vary a lot. I once had one with a clock spinning around quickly. On my second playthrough I simply saw a couch with what looks like a crying significant other who then disappears, leaving only the couch. You might experience something different than I do. Drinking these cans will actually allow you to have more PCU, which is a suit battery charge you have as a Metro cop. From the beginning the limit is 75. By drinking the first can you can have up to 115. I don't actually know how high this goes if you actually drink all of them. My guess would be around 200. Each time you fail to drink one, it will actually decrease your max capacity again. We then get resupplied. Our task is to rescue a squad. The rebels have started to organize themselves and will be harder to fight, we are warned. A trend I saw in this mod's combat is that you actually fight uphill or rather upstairs battles, which is awesome for taking cover. This is Half-Life 2 combat at its peak. There are great world building details here, like this bench turned into a bed. There are these small animations that the civil protection in your squad will sometimes do, and it really helps add onto the feeling that you're really part of a squad. We eventually arrive at a Combine checkpoint where we find another couple of Metro cops. One of them, the leader, is trying to decrypt data. While he does this, we need to protect him from waves of rebels. The arena here is set up pretty well. You get told when the leader's in danger, danger meaning that rebels have entered the checkpoint. Once we fend off the rebels, the leader tells us that he couldn't manage to decrypt the data and that we need to bring it somewhere else, the Civil Protection Nexus. We get shown how to get there. Quick pause to talk on the weapons. All weapons got a change in sound, otherwise they're not really worth talking about. The MP7 still has terrible recoil, we're used to from Entropy 01, and the MP5K of this mod is a bit different from that of Entropy 02, but still feels the same mostly. It's a little more accurate though, at least from what it feels like. This mod greatly rewards exploration, which is nice to see. We get to hear a Breen speech, during which you will hear an uproar, which might just be random timing, but I thought it was fitting. Cool detail. We solved this puzzle we know from Entropy 01, which you will probably need 10 attempts on because the E-press accidentally went to the wrong button. After this there is some more great world building. Every place prop here tells a story, which every level designer should aspire to do. It's so much fun to explore around these levels, seriously. After this we get to fight against Vortigons, which is never fun. I think the way Vortigons were designed for Half-Life 2 just makes them suck to fight against. While I know this is a lot easier said than done, I think Vortigons desperately need an AI change before they are to be featured again as enemies in any mod. Way too much damage with way too little chance to miss. The only chance is to hide and pick them off one by one, which gets close to impossible once you have like more than 3 Vortigons. In this case you fight against 2 waves of 3. Also this Easter egg, you then get a glimpse of a really far away placed rebel on an emplacement gun. Your goal is to fight your way up this street and to eventually take them out. Before we do that though, we enter this building through the roof and find this note. In short, it's a letter written for Ruben and Mark. The people writing this say that there is no chance of winning, that continuing to fight is suicide. They're sorry it had to end this way. They will leave as soon as the person on the toilet, Carl, is back, since he has the only gun. Which is weird to mention, I guess. We do find out why this is mentioned gameplay-wise though. Turns out that the door next to it has the group that wrote this letter hiding in it. Seems like this letter was just placed there. They lock the door. We go in through a bit of broken wall and find the group. They are unarmed. You are able to kill them. They of course immediately surrender and even offer you supplies, with the only plea being to not kill them, which you will of course not do. The apartment below this we find Carl still on the toilet. This section is pretty fun. By trying to enter the first time, he'll tell you to wait a second. As soon as he opens the door, he shuts it again, to which it will remain closed. You have a chance to kill him, but honestly I didn't feel like it. You continue fighting up the streets. There's another fight up the stairs, which I really enjoy. We then lure out the guy at the emplacement gun by forcing a combined wall behind him to move through his building. Also this door opens, which connects back to the start of the level. Really cool. We reach a nexus we were supposed to get to, where we find a lot of dead Metro Cops as well as dead rebels. Seems like nobody is left. Going up further we move through a room trapped with explosives, which is always fun. After this we find some alive Metro Cops in this building. We meet Beck, an excellently voiced character that also had a small cameo in Entropy 02 actually, in the intro, talking about how he's working on the Vance case. He's the guy that you saw right before climbing into the vent for prep duty. This Beck character is great, also called 2810 by the way. We give him the data. He tells us that we can take part in a task his group has been assigned. The task being to take care of a rebel hideout in the industrial outskirts. This is apparently a very critical deciding factor on who wins this war. We get split into 3 teams. We each need to go to a different pickup location point. The base gets blown up right as the last person leaves. Also look at this damn view. Damn, it looks good. Citadel on full alert and everything. This looks incredible. Reminds me of Left 4 Dead 2 levels. Overwatch announces autonomous decisions at this point, which basically just means kill whatever you want, I think at least. I mean, while this is a cool detail, it never really has any effect. Which is fine obviously. This level design continues to be awesome. We get boosted up ledges by other units, which is pretty great. This happens a couple times throughout the mod. We climb down a sewer and find another rebel hideout. There is this board here, which is mostly a compilation of data about how the Combine have way better equipment. There is also this small mention about someone seeing civil protection units betraying the Combine. Keep that in mind for now. We arrive at the pickup location. Beck mentions that something is wrong. Sensors are going off, but he's not seeing any units in our area. The dropship will take 2 minutes to arrive, he tells us. Shortly after which a Molotov lands on another Metro Cop. We fend off against a couple waves of rebels in a pretty cool battle. Also there are these destructible roadblocks. Hell yeah. The dropship arrives and then gets shot down in the industrial areas we were supposed to go to. Connection on the radio is completely lost. We find some notes about someone analyzing the Breen water, specifically about the amnestic properties of it. His tests basically includes him taking sips, forgetting he did, and then testing it on others. Others had no effect mostly. So this is a pretty undecisive study. You have the option to drink this cup for more PCU. This is also the first time we get a glimpse of the Combine Crusher, an APC converted by rebels. There is a bit of an underground horror section here, kinda like episode 1, which you may know from my Entropy 01 and 2 review that I don't really like these, but I'm pretty objective on them still. I think These are bad. The indoor level design in general crumbles in comparison to that of the outdoor sections. There is no detail, no world building of any kind, and basically no props in general. Really blocky, uninspired design. We meet up with Beck again, who is not doing well. His dropship also crashed, one of his glowing eyes no longer glowing, which makes him pretty distinguishable luckily. We bring him a medkit, which patches him up thankfully. We start heading towards the meetup point in hopes of finding other survivors. We catch another view at the APC. Beck mentions that it could be trouble. Our path gets blocked by a container right in front of our eyes. We get ambushed. Pretty hard to find cover here with all these zombies and rebels all over. But I generally like this room. We get into a confrontation with the APC. Beck mentions that we need to take care of it, but it will be hard to catch up, to which he has an idea. We move into a rail yard with one of these rotating platform thingies. We find the other crashed dropship and find the other squad dead and turned into zombies. This is a whole new enemy, Metrocop zombies. They take out manhacks that go and attack you once you kill the zombie. Pretty cool. We get on a train, which is a quick section I really enjoyed. Even though we only drive like 500 meters max. We see the APC again. It's raining in the section by the way, which is pretty cool. More dropships arrive, to which one gets shot down. Beck says we have to stop it. So we rappel down, which is really cool. We arrive at a roundabout kind of area. The APC drives around in circles. You have to kill it using SMG grenades or climb up this crane and drop a container on it, which is a great alternative. Overall, this boss fight is pretty fun. It gives you a ton of cover to hide behind and places ammo around you cleverly. The other dropship lands and we get some support. There is one unit, let's call him Buddy for now, who keeps nagging about the data that Beck has on him. Beck refuses to answer this. Buddy also mentions that he used to patrol these areas back when Freeman was being hunted, which is a cool piece of background lore. This does seem a lot like an area you'd see in the Water Hazard chapter. He also mentions a lot of zombies are around here, to which Beck says we'll have to be quiet. There are cars with alarms here, so this won't be easy. If you fail, a horde of all types of zombies come rush at you, which can also happen due to a turret later on that you are able to blow up. They talk a bit about Gordon Freeman, how they're glad he's dead now. Beck being doubtful it truly is. The data suggests the rebels are planning something big in this area. Beck finally gives in to Buddy's nagging and explains what's on that data. It's basically everything the rebels are doing here. The APC, how they block frequencies, their locations and part of their plans. We then fend off against a ton of zombies while we wait for a breaching charge. There's some cool lighting effects done here that actually also serve the gameplay. We are then tasked with spying a bit. We need to find out what they're doing. Stealth bit ensues, which actually is not that easy. It involves moving guards that patrol right through your path. In general, I like this stealth section. Especially this part where you sneak around the table as someone is looking for you in the same room. Beck enters and kills that one rebel. There are some funny details on our computer here. We find out that there is a chimney here that is blocking frequencies, and that its weak point is explosions from the inside. We climb up in a real cool platforming section. It reminded me of old PS2 games kinda. We throw a grenade in, have the chimney collapse and receive a funny reward, non-mechanical reproduction simulation. We do have another task though. Beck tells us about a train leaving from here with lots of weaponry. He's afraid this war could go on a lot longer if we fail to take care of this train. The skyboxes here by the way, damn they look incredible. We enter a container and see what's in them. Also keep in mind this map, mentioning an active razor train line we have to watch out for. Beck tells us to go ahead and that he'll catch up, to which he immediately gets captured in his container and loaded onto the train. The rest of the units arrive and we try to free Beck. The train however starts. We find an APC and drive after it. Our path is blocked by a blown up tunnel, which was mentioned on the map as well. We fend off against zombies while waiting for a door to open. Then there is a boss fight with an APC. I like this idea, though it is pretty hard to avoid damage here. The train is stopped here while a razor train is passing, which was mentioned on the map. Beck tells us to drive ahead and flip a switch that will cause the train to drive somewhere else. Once we start driving through the tunnel, the train with Beck on it starts driving. It catches up and we get dragged along. After which another razor train, seemingly one the rebels missed in their plans, comes at us for a full speed frontal collision. We hear Beck escaping and requesting assistance. We hear some beatings though, seems like he was captured and dragged away. We get awoken by someone called Bloody Cop, which is fair since he is pretty bloody. He's looking for Beck. Our night vision goggles failed and we have to follow him with his flashlight, which might give some people flashbacks to that one part in Entropy 01 with the stalker. We need to keep up pace past this point, Bloody Cop says. We find a computer on which he sees where Beck is located and says it's impossible to retrieve him. It's at a mall with highly trained rebels. Since we failed the train mission, it will be hard to get through them. Bloody Cop has an idea though, saying that he owes Beck that favor. We arrive at this small street with a couple more civil protection units. At this point I notice a fun glitch where if you charge your stun stick and hit your friends, a ragdoll comes flying out of them. They are still alive afterwards though. This can be repeated an infinite number of times. Bloody Cop explains the plan to attack the mall. We move up the building with our squad and enter an apartment. Our old room, the one in the flashbacks. The couch is still there. Bloody Cop offers us a Dr. Breen's private reserve, which we can either accept or not. Let's put a bookmark at this place, or a video game mark, I don't know. Most people that play this will move further through the building. We actually see a graffiti saying Resistance and Combine Unite. We move across a minefield. Then we actually use a zipline here, which is great. We are now in the mall. We see Beck through a vent, seemingly cooperating with the resistance. He offers to tell them all he knows. We free him. Bloody Cop comes in. Beck tells us to forget about what he said there earlier. On this wall there is another mention of passive civil protection, specifically them negotiating with them. We then enter the mall, have a pretty big shootout, get a little mention of 36, the protagonist of Entropy 0, 1 and 2. Then Beck and Bloody Cop get into a bit of an argument. Bloody Cop desperately wants a promotion. Beck seems more pessimistic, saying that all the work he himself has done has not gotten him anything. We get interrupted though, power goes out. What happens now is what was foreshadowed throughout this entire mod. Metro cops come storming in the building, shooting at us. They have yellow glowing eyes. We fend off against them. We get charged with a ton of friendly fire charges and all of our rewards are gone. We find out they have lambda symbols drawn on them. We use a command computer in search of more of these guys hiding around the mall. We see some. Beck and Bloody Cop tell us to stay here and watch them while they go there. Turns out what we saw was a camera loop. After this the screen says behind you. You see 3 of the yellow combine. They shoot you dead. The combine leader says,
1 out of 3.
This is where the mask replay gets uploaded and ends. There is a post-credit scene here though. We are in some kind of water tank. Seems like some kind of Bacta tank from Star Wars. Beck is here and says,
Focus back. We have some work to do.
This is known as the canon ending. It announces episode 2, which is pretty much confirmed to release someday. The other ending is also really good though. The other ending is unlocked by never drinking a can of Dr. Breen's private reserve. Let's go back to the video game Mark replaced. This cutscene will play out differently. You remember what happened to your significant other. You stormed the building, already a civil protection unit. Your significant other sitting there crying, now part of the resistance. We hesitate to do anything. Bloody Cop enters. He calls you a coward and shoots her dead. The memory ends. This calls you to kill Bloody Cop right then and there. We know why he offered that can. He wanted to make sure you forget. You go rogue and kill every single Metro Cop nearby. You even fight some Combine elites, an APC and a Hunter. You also receive the RPG by doing this. After this, the same leader of the traitor Yellow-Eyed Combine arrives. They want us on their team. We can reject this offer, which will cause a Strider to murder us. Which means that even a Strider has betrayed the Combine in this case. We obviously accept the offer. We move over to Beck. The leader talks to the rebels there and convinces them to allow Beck and us to join the team. Beck is hesitant, but eventually agrees to help. We then fight off the Combine in the mall instead of the rebels. After this, we use the same computer again, this time in search for survivors. We do see some. Everyone leaves the room. This time we see visions of her significant other, flashing in as a black figure on the camera feed. Eventually we hear her behind us saying, "Behind you and look at me." We hear her plead to come back, to which Bloody Cop enters and shoots her dead again. It's obviously not him, but merely a vision. He says that she'll never come back. He knocks us out with his stun stick. This is where the credits roll. The post-credit scene here, however, in this is absolutely beautiful. You sit in your old apartment. It seems to take place during episode 1. The city is in shambles. The Citadel on the brink of explosion. Beck asks us if we really want to stay here, which we do. Beck says that he understands. We see him, the traitor civil protection leader, and others leave, accompanied by a beautiful soundtrack. The game fades out. The main menu background shows us sitting on the couch, waiting for the Citadel to explode and eradicate the city. We weren't able to move on. Beautiful ending. This second ending, as it leads to us dying, is not the one that will be continued in episode 2. If it weren't for episode 2, I would love for this ending to be the official one. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful work, employee 8 and Philipad. Overall, I think this game did Entropy 01, but made it fun and improved upon its features. Entropy 01 is an alright mod. It obviously innovates in terms of protagonist and in some certain aspects. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10, which I think might actually be a little generous. Obviously it's great work, but I think this one tops what that game did and stays in a similar lane. The protagonist in this one, Victor60, keeps the tone more serious. I can see a lot of people that didn't enjoy Entropy 01 or 2 loving this one. Also, using a little offhand comment from Half-Life 2 that the water makes you forget in such a creative and great way is awesome. This is a must play to anyone that is into Half-Life 2 modding. I don't have a big moral of the story or any larger message in this video. This mod is simply a great example of what I think is a resurgence of Half-Life 2 mods that is happening right now. Creators, keep creating. This channel now has memberships enabled in case you want to support me further. It's only $2.99 and you will have your name included at the end of videos. Please only think about doing that if you truly have the spare money though. So yeah, otherwise, thank you for watching.